Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. I am Juanita Beauty, yours truly. For those who are new, thank you so much for hopping on here and taking the time to look at this video and check out my channel. I am getting back into doing this. I have not been on this platform in so long. It feels very weird to just be like making a video, sitting in front of a camera, talking. I am gonna slowly but surely start getting back into it. I am a mom and a wife. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on and it just seems like I never have enough time to get in front of the camera and make a beauty tutorial about anything. But today is really special to me and close to my heart, and I felt like I needed to come on and share my story, and why not do makeup while doing that. So thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you have a moment, like and subscribe and share it to whoever you feel like needs to know this message and, you know, could benefit from my content. So we're gonna get right into it. So I'm really excited to jump right into it. I'm gonna get right into the story of how I discovered that my baby has an autoimmune disease. So my baby turned 1 in April. She turned 1 April 14th, 2023. She had almost little to no symptoms of what I'm about to get into prior to her birthday, to my knowledge, and I watch her very closely. I had no indication that this was going on other than a couple of subtle things that I learned later. She turned 1, she had a birthday on that Saturday. All of our family and friends came over and we had it here. Me and my husband bought a house in October of last year, so this was the first time a lot of people were seeing our house, coming over to celebrate, and this was like the perfect time and event to do that with. We had like a barbecue style party and it was really fun. It was really cool. Biggest thing, Carlia had a good time. She enjoyed seeing all her cousins. When your baby turns 1, you always, well, not you always, but a lot of people decide to do the smash cake. We decided to get her a smash cake. We got it from Publix, so it was nothing like crazy extravagant, but it matched the theme. It was really small and cute, and it was just for her. We gave her the cake, and prior to this, I had never given her anything like sweet. First of all, she didn't hardly have any teeth, so there was no point in giving her anything like that. As far as the smash cake is concerned, we just let her go in, and I'll probably try to insert something here so you guys can see, but she did a little taste and she realized the thing tasted good, and she went ahead and dug in and started stuffing her face with the cake. An hour or two after that, kind of started showing some weird signs. She was acting kind of like she was tired, and I just took it as, oh, we had a whole bunch of people here. Then she has this cake, sugar rush, and now she is tired. She's exhausted. So that's really what I took it as. I went ahead and put her down to sleep, and that was that. So that was like, I said all that to say, that was like the first kind of signs of anything that I saw that were abnormal to how she normally acts. Next day, me and my husband and I believe my sister was with us, but we went to a shopping center. I noticed that day that she was acting really strange. She was just laying her head on me whenever I would hold her. She was acting out of character. We noticed that she was doing a lot of what we call heavy breathing, like she had just been running a marathon, and I just thought that was so odd. Normally I freak out about everything, and my husband has to kind of talk me off a ledge, like, it's okay, relax. But like, that's just my instinct, is to like hone in and like figure out what's going on. 9 times out of 10 it's really nothing. It's just like normally what babies do. But this time I was just like, no, this is so odd. Like, why is she breathing so abnormally? She's just breathing, panting, like and I was just like, girl, like, you all right? Like, that was like the first sign. And so my husband was like, well, let's just monitor it for, you know, the rest of the day. If she's still acting like this, breathing like this, let's take her in tomorrow. And so we put her to sleep that same night, and she was doing a little bit of like wheezing. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's springtime. Maybe the reason she's breathing so heavily like this is because she's having a hard time because there's a lot of congestion in her. I was like, you know what? It's not subsiding. It's been a few hours. Let's take her in tomorrow. We just went to the nearest Kaiser that we had closest to where we live now. We saw a doctor, one of the pediatricians that were there, and we'll just call him Greg. Greg has very poor bedside manner, but you are a pediatrician, so I'm like always feeling like pediatricians should have like a little bit more pep in their step than normal everyday doctors, but whatever. Greg was in there like 5 minutes, not even. He looked at her, he saw how she was breathing, he listened to her chest, and then he just decided that she was having something to do with her lungs and she needed some sort of steroid to open up her lungs so she could breathe a little bit better. And if you are an asthmatic person, if you grew up with needing an inhaler at all, you probably know what albuterol is. It is a steroid that helps to open up your lungs. I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on exactly, but that's what it did for me. She doesn't seem like she has like asthma, but okay, if that's supposed to help her breathe better, I can see where you're going with that. 2 more days go by and it's not really working. Nothing's really helping. And so I'm like, no, she's still breathing like this. I call the doctor's office looking for her primary care physician because I was like, even though we live like an hour away from her old doctor, I need to see her old doctor because she just, the whole experience is just better when we see her. And unfortunately, the doctor that I wanted to see was on vacation for those days. And I was like, okay, well, who do you have? And she said, we do have another physician here that can see her. We went that same day. Basically, we saw the lady, we'll call her, what are we gonna call her? We're gonna call her Angela. She was a lot nicer. She was a lot more like, you know, uppity. What I expect a pediatric doctor to be acting like. She was asking me, you guys don't live over here. Why did you not, you know, go to the Kaiser that's kind of closer to your house? And I was like, oh, we did. And I was like, yeah, we were just at Kaiser. Yeah, we saw, you know, Dr. Greg. And she was like, oh, I know him. And I was like, oh, you know Greg? And she was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so what's up? And she was like, yeah, he's not really like kid friendly. He's more like thorough. He's more like to the books, but I trust him with my life. Yep, he is just the best. He could tell what a kid has from looking at them a mile away. Okay, well, she's still breathing like this. She was like, okay, yeah, give it some more time and just go ahead and continue giving her the inhaler. And I was like, okay, so nobody's alarmed that she's breathing like she's been running a marathon and this has been going on for like 4 days now. Nobody's like that concerned. We're just gonna keep pushing the asthma treatment on her. Like nobody else sees that. So anyway, she said the same thing Dr. Greg was saying. She was singing his praises. I was like, all right, so I'll go back home, try it again, and we'll see what works. All right, we had the humidifier going, her inhaler going. I put some Vicks on her feet. It's almost like she was trying to feel better, but it just was, she wasn't there yet. The next day, I was like, no, I need some answers. And so I called again. Now, this is when God puts something on your heart, when you have that, what we call discernment, don't ignore that, especially when it comes down to your children. First time moms, 10th time moms, if you got 5 kids or 2 kids, 1 kid, or if you're pregnant with, if you feel like something is not right, chances are there's something there. Don't ignore that. I'm not taking this for an answer. I need to speak to her primary care physician, a person that I know knows her, has seen her since birth, is not just trying to get me in and out the door, prescribe me all types of crazy drugs, and not trying to get answers. Okay, I'm working on like doing my makeup and talking at the same time. I need to like move. So I'm gonna put my eyeliner on and I think I'm gonna put my lashes on because this is all I'm doing to my eyes. It's just like one color on the lid. That's normally my everyday look kind of thing where I'm just putting one color and then I put some lashes on, you know, can't really tell. Okay, so I put my lashes on and now I'm just gonna go ahead and move into my foundation. We went ahead and had the appointment with the primary care physician. She had an appointment super early. That's the only time they could fit us in. I was like, okay, cool. We got to her. She was like, you've come to us twice already in less than like 4 or 5 days. And I was like, yeah. And as soon as she saw Carlea, she was like, oh no, this isn't right. She's doing something that's super abnormal for kids her age to do, which is breathe heavily like they've been playing soccer all day. We're gonna go ahead and put her on a breathing treatment because she was still following the protocol of what other doctors had done. And she was like, we're gonna put her on a breathing treatment and see how that goes. And so she put her on the first breathing treatment, which was this big this like little machine that she had to put like a little mask over her face and breathe something in, and that she was hoping that would open up her airways in order for her to get more air in and she wouldn't be breathing so heavily. And so she was like, yeah, that's not working, we're gonna try it one more time, but essentially I can't send you home with your baby looking like that. This is what she said that, like, I wish the first doctor would have said, okay, I'm looking at your child. We're gonna try something. I can't send you home. Your child is acting abnormal. She's very lethargic. She's breathing very heavily. The symptoms have progressed. So where it started off being very mild, where she was like kind of laying her head on my shoulder, it ended up turning into her not really being able to move around, not really talking. So the doctor gave her the second treatment and she was like, okay, if she doesn't get any better after this, I'm gonna go ahead and have to call Choa. I'm gonna have to call the ambulance to come get her. And I was like, the ambulance, let me get this off the ambulance. And she was like, yeah, we're gonna have to send her to the hospital because there's nothing we can do at this facility that's going to get her to where she needs to be if this doesn't end up working, the breathing treatment. So I was like, okay, all right. So this was putting me like a little bit uneasy because I was just like, I didn't expect for her to be like, you need to go to like the hospital, but whatever. At this point, I'm like, if that's what you think we need to do, doc, say less. Like, go ahead and call them. So she gives her this breathing treatment one more time and does nothing for her. And she's like, yep, we're gonna go ahead and call the hospital and have them get ready for you. And I'm gonna call the ambulance and they're gonna come pick you all up and take you all over there because she needs to be seen immediately. I'm not sure what's going on or how long it's been going on. Shout out to her doctor. Ultimately, she saved my baby's life. As soon as we got to the hospital, the nurses like swarmed in because they saw how she was breathing. They were like, oh, they took her, like they literally got her off the gurney and like sprinted. They ran. And so I'm looking at my husband like what's going on? And I'm trying to keep my composure. I'm trying to keep calm. It was like, it went from 0 to 100 really fast. And so they're running. They're like, as soon as me and my husband catch up, they've already got her on the table. They got all these wires attached to her. The nurse immediately was asking us questions and they had her on this machine that was supposed to help her to breathe and get her more oxygen. She was saying, yeah, the way that she's breathing, she has labored breathing. Kids are not supposed to do that. So whenever you see them labored breathing, it's almost like, and you can see the indentation in their neck basically because they're trying to get more air down. And so that shouldn't be happening. And that's how she could tell that she was labored breathing. She was like, let me go and get the doctor and we'll be able to determine what the next steps are. They'd done the breathing machine on her, the oxygen machine on her for about 30 minutes and nothing had changed. The doctor came in and he was like, okay, so this is not working. I don't think that it's anything to do with her lungs. Everything in her lungs looks clear. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, her lungs look perfectly fine. And so I was like, that's really weird. Why is she breathing like that? And so he started asking us a series of questions. One thing that he asked us that stood out was, has she been using the bathroom a lot more frequently? And I was like, well, she's in Pampers, so I don't know. But what I will say is that almost every night for like a month straight, we would get up and there would be pee in her bed. And I'm like, why is there so much pee? Like, why are you out peeing the pamper? Like, that shouldn't be the case. And we just thought maybe she's turning 1, maybe she's outgrowing these pamper sizes, even though they fit her body. Maybe she's just peeing too much and she needs to like get into the overnight pampers. So we put the overnight pampers on her and still she was peeing a lot more than, you know, what the overnight pampers were doing. And so she was still peeing in the bed. And that's the only thing I saw, but I didn't take it as something that was wrong. I was like, okay, that's really odd, but she's probably fine. After he asked us all those questions, we told him about the peeing thing. He asked us about her diet. And also during her last physical, the doctor was like, okay, she's lost a little bit of weight. Granted, this was right before her first birthday. I was still breastfeeding her and everything like that. But before she turned 1, breast milk was her main source of food. And then it was just like table food because she was learning how to eat. We told the doctor at the hospital that, and it's like everything came together. He went and talked to a couple other doctors and he came back and he was like, I think she has an autoimmune disease. And we were like, what? An autoimmune disease? What? No. What do you mean by that? And they were like, okay, so have you ever heard of diabetes? And we were like, yes. They were like, are you familiar? Does it run in your family? And I was like, well, my grandparents have like type 2 diabetes, I believe. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant. And he was like, okay, so you are aware of the word diabetes, but what your daughter has is what we call type 1 diabetes. And I was like, okay. first of all, I didn't know that was an autoimmune disease. Second of all, what's the difference between type 1 and type 2? Like, is that a diet thing? He was like, no, basically you are born with it, and it starts to show when you are really young. Normally kids this young don't show symptoms of it, but type 1 diabetes, from my knowledge, what the doctors are telling me and what many of doctors have told me since then, is unavoidable. You are born with type 1 diabetes, or the potential to get type 1 diabetes, and basically it has nothing to do, you could have the best diet or the worst diet, and it's basically when your pancreas shuts down and no longer makes insulin, and so it can't receive sugar that goes into your body. And what happens, I'm not gonna get all technical on y'all, but in a nutshell, it's very different from type 2 diabetes. I'd only been educated on type 2 diabetes, but type 2 diabetes is what you get from your diet. If you're not eating right, you're eating too much sugar, you're not exercising, all that kind of stuff, you get it. And a lot of times older people get it, and that's all I've experienced. Even gestational diabetes is what I had when I was pregnant. That has to do also with your diet, specifically for pregnancy. And so that's the only kind of diabetes I was aware of. Type 1 diabetes is very, very different. It's very, very different on how it's treated. It's very, very different on how your lifestyle is. But they're similar but not the same. And the type 1 diabetes is unavoidable. And so basically her body is unable to use the sugar, so she's peeing it out. She's peeing out the sugar, and that's why she's been peeing a lot. And her body was going into what is called ketoacidosis. And basically, if you've ever heard of the keto diet, that is what her body was doing. And keto diet will cause you to what? Lose weight. That's why she was not gaining weight, she was losing weight, because her body was slowly but surely getting into that ketoacidosis. And by the time we got to the hospital, that's where her body was. If you know anything about blood sugar, hers was around 500, 600. Insane. So it was God, listen, listen, looking out for us, 110% looking out for us. There's no doubt in my mind that God has her covered. Like I said before, listen to your gut. Don't take what the doctors say as like law. Do your research. Go to multiple doctors. If you feel like something is wrong, chances are something's not right. Don't just take the answer and just think that there's nothing else you can do about it, because ultimately that can take you out of here. Getting ketoacidosis is nothing to play with. You do not want a whole bunch of acid buildup in your body. We have her on a series of shots that she gets. At first, we were taking her blood sugar constantly, so she was getting pricked with her blood sugar like 5 times, 6 times a day, and then she was getting her insulin shots 5, 6 times a day as needed. And I can get into all the technical. If I get a whole bunch of comments in the comment section below asking me questions about wanting to know just more about it, I will definitely get on here and make another video that has to do with the nitty-gritty details with what we deal with every day with our daughter in having type 1 diabetes. It's night and day. As soon as they got her body regulated, she had to be strapped up, and that we were in the hospital about 4 days getting her body regulated. And then 2 of those days we spent just training with the doctors in order to learn, because we had a whole new kind of lifestyle for us. We had to learn how to care for a child with type 1 diabetes. And it's, I could write a book, honestly, with the crazy stuff that I go through daily with her. Even now, I'm like checking my watch because I have to check her blood sugar. We have something called a Dexcom on her now, which she is technically too young for, but the doctors approved her for it. So she's got a little reader that attaches to her body and reads her blood sugar, so she doesn't have to get pricked every day on her fingers. And then we give her insulin based on that. When I tell you my baby is she is extremely resilient. She's so strong. She is taking everything like a champ, and even if she doesn't like it, she bounces back. So she gets her shots. I keep her involved. She's a very happy baby. If you saw her, you would never know anything was going on, like she had an autoimmune disease or anything like that. You would never know that. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for all the doctors at XoXo who literally moved like lightning. If I had just taken that road, I know I could have, gotten to her faster and given her what she needed more quickly, but this is our story and this is how God chose for us to unfold it, and I'm just so grateful that she is healthy today. My prayer is that somehow, some way, she can be healed of this, and I believe God, he can do anything. Okay, so that's basically where we are with it. I'm not going to go on and on. Like I said, if you guys want to know more about the specifics on that, and if you know somebody that could possibly benefit from this video, if you feel like they need to know this information, send it to them, send it to whoever needs to know about it. They are not alone. I felt like I was alone, and then I was introduced to all of these moms and these groups of people who went through the same thing. And typically kids can get it from 6 months, I think is the youngest I've heard. It can happen at any point in time, and knowing the signs is so important because it can definitely save their life. So anyway, this is the makeup look I'm going for. I can put a little gloss on my lips, but I don't have it down here right now. I'm gonna go put my little outfit on. I got my hair and my makeup all done, and I'm so happy that I made this video because I feel very comfortable. It's very strange being back in front of the camera, but it's feeling like I can do this. It's feeling like I can get back into it.